Hello. In this episode, I will be looking at example scripts using the enumerator property in Blender. Note that this presentation is not for complete beginners. If you have difficulty following along, you probably need to familiarize yourself with Blender Python scripting basic concepts first. One highly recommended resource for this is the official Blender API documentation website. The Python modules for this demo can be downloaded from my GitHub channel. The link is in the video description below. First, download the zip archive and extract the files to a folder on your computer. Launch Blender and save a new file as enum examples or anything you want. It doesn't really matter. Delete all default objects in the file so we can start with a clean slate. Select the scripting workspace and open the demo modules in the text editor. To run an example, first select it, then make sure the unregistered call at the end is commented out and hit the Run Script button, or press Alt-P on the keyboard while the cursor is in the text editor window. To unload the script, uncomment the unregistered call and click on Run Script. The first example deals with two enum properties which could display mutually exclusive values. To demonstrate, I have chosen the track and up vectors, which cannot be parallel. In such cases, we usually prioritize one of the competing properties, like I have done here with the track enum. Therefore, when the track enum displays either x or minus x, the up enum should only have two available choices, y and z. To achieve this, we assign a custom items list to the up enum property. The items are returned from a function where we make sure that the entries do not clash with the currently selected track value. Another approach to deal with the same problem would be to use the get and set callback pairs for each property. This is demonstrated in example 1b. Notice that in this example, both properties have equal weight, and each one of them checks the current value of the other before updating. Also, this example does not make use of the custom items list. The second example is similar to the first one, in that we still want to control the displayed items. Except in this case, we select the first n items based on the value of an integer property. To achieve this, we will again use the custom items list function, but this time we also need to update the enum list index, otherwise it will be undefined. We do this via the integer properties update event. The third example is a bit more advanced. Here we use the enum property in conjunction with a collection property. The role of the enum property in this case is to enable one-to-many relationships among the items in a user list component. The requirement, therefore, is that for any selected item in the user list, the enum list should contain suitable parent candidates. This means it will not show any of the selected items' descendants, children, grandchildren, and so on. Load the script to see it in action. First, add a few items to the user list and name them so we can differentiate between the selections. Next, add parent-child relations. Notice that the available parent options are limited to items that are not descendants of the current selection. The important parts in the code here are the descendants and the parent-enum items functions. Note that we call the descendants function recursively to traverse the tree of descendants, and then we exclude those items from the list of suitable parents. We also update the parent-enum property via the collection index update event. Another thing to note is that in the sub-remove operator, we update the parent reference of any children before removing the selected item. Also, in the sub-parent operator, notice how we obtain the valid index of the item currently displayed in the parent-enum list. One application of this method to object rotations is presented in example 3b. To work with this example, we will need two base objects, a cube and a cylinder. First, run the example 3b setup script once to create these objects. And now disable that collection. Next, load the enum example 3b module. I'm going to use different colors for this example. Let us call the first one white. Click on the edit operator and give it a length of 1 unit on the z-axis. The edit operator also features a few rotation options. Here we determine the angle, the pivot point, and whether the selected object inherits the rotation of its parent. Note that this module includes an application handler for a quick demonstration of the effect. However, I strongly recommend using keyframes and actions for your final animations. Now, let's create a few more objects and give them appropriate names. If you don't see the different colors, you may need to change the viewport shading color mode to object. I'm going to make a cluster of dependent objects, but you can experiment with different options and values. And that's it for this episode. I hope you found it useful. Thank you for watching.